started breaking. And I went, oh my God. And it was like everybody's on cell phones. There's nobody here. Come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. 300 people showed up like in a heartbeat.
Oh, that's right. They said that they were on the internet or something. They were
Texting, they were on the phone.
Texting, and they all sent out a mass email to everyone, and they all showed up. Started going crazy.
Because I had my other camera all
I
set.
moved your bag, man.
That's sure, no problem. I walked up there with my EX 200 and started shooting, and these kids coming out with, shirts wrapped around their face, loaded with stuff. And I'm up on a second floor balcony, thinking, what are these kids going to grab my ass and throw me over the balcony and say, fuck you. By the hundreds. No. You were alone. Well, what happened is we set up in one area, showing the background for where this is going to, all this other thing could happen, and this all happened, with one dog, and I think someone came to the mall, which was a parking lot and a half on the other side of this area.
So you just went to sort of check it out.
Check it out, and all of a sudden I just saw these kids breaking glass.
Mic check.
Running down the hall.
Mic check. Mic check. 1, 2. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check.
But by the time I stepped back out of the broken glass, there were
Because he can rub it into a timeline,
they all just loaded with
or listen to it in assist or something like that.
just kept going by me. Oh, they, you can see the helicopter flying over, and they were yelling.
For tonight or what?
There was nobody here. They had all gone to another location. Like I said, this was the modern internet era, where all you have to do is send out a mass text.
No, which is why you should bird dog this.
That's what it was. That's exactly
No,
what it was. It's a flash mob.
Yeah.
I saw 300 people show up into space.
Yeah, they
in
good
5
guy.
seconds. And cars just came from everywhere. People coming out of the neighborhood. It was like,
Well, they're technically savvy enough.
but we just kept getting into these messes by just pure serendipity.
Did you try
Like an Abbott and Costello.
the flight helmets?
They didn't get any of that shit to us till 2 days later. And then all of a sudden, we had bulletproof vests, we had helmets, we had security details.
Baltimore?
Yeah, like we had people on us, like unbelievable. But it was all like, well, it's kind of too late.
Yeah.
But I mean, they made the effort. Don't get me wrong. I was very happy to see they made the effort. We had a lot of people there, and sometimes a couple of things at night when they were sending out some of our less experienced VJs who were just willing to step into the middle of any piece of shit and be stupid. It's gonna be awesome. And this is gonna make my career. They were able to at least start assigning people to them, so they weren't blind. But
So how come you're not?
Gentlemen, how's everyone here? Good? Good?
Oh my God.
We're good.
Let's not take the Lord's name in vain.
Oh my God.
How are you?
Was the last time we were
Good to see
like
you.
that in the Toronto?
Yeah, we're doing a little news conference
Oh, yeah,
here.
I'm here for that. I've got a camera that's great.
John Roberts.
That is fabulous. We're so happy to have you.
What was that?
Do we have a conference
That's when
camera
John
here?
Roberts.
You mean
John Roberts,
still or
you know,
or
everybody's a captain on Com Water.
our guys are
When the
filming it?
shit's
Like
going
Lane and
down,
Cyrus are
person's
here from our.
true.
Oh, good.
Yeah. It'll be on Snapstream in
And
like
that's
within an
when
hour.
I'm like,
Is that good, or do we need to move it?
No, that's
We can if we need to move it here.
I just
and
meant-
shut that door.
Place.
Yeah.
He's
I
working
just
with
realized
us
we have
now, so.
birds trying to stand up there. So I have no problems if we need to like move it here.
They might want to come in on both sides, so
I just want to make sure it's not on a flag.
they were gonna throw a storm.
this is gonna get.
Tweet.
Shut this shit.
Tweet.
Oh, was it the tape?
And this guy.
WTO stuff kind of stuff?
I'm here to just
No,
provide
but-
some consulting
The
things.
guys in the black hoodies kind of thing?
Yeah,
Hello.
yeah, black and white.
Okay, all right.
See you.
Hooligans.
Welcome.
It was super,
Yeah,
super
good.
simple.
We did. Good to see you.
Likewise, likewise.
Here.
Oh, good.
Hey.
We're gonna take that back right after.
Allie,
Hey.
what's going on?
Yeah, yeah.
How you been?
They are free to use their name on.
Wow.
Oh, careful.
I told
Easy
them
now, Tanya.
it was down there.
Just,
And after this, like,
Okay.
that.
Yeah, that's sort of.
Yeah.
It's kind of what with coffee and drinks and Jane's family and meeting people and after.
Trying to hang it up.
Here, you can A bump it up a little.
Right,
So that it's
right.
slightly
Yeah.
floating.
Yeah.
The
beer went down, we usually end with
It's like
Oh, no, it's nothing.
Sounds like fun though, huh?
Hi.
Always is.
You know, Dennis, if you, in all honesty,
And that's a table shot, my friend.
2000,
Yes.
3 or 4,
Did you turn it on?
Awesome.
Good. Up more, down
that was
more?
when they started
Yeah,
the cars.
711?
When it was
It's
all
sound like
It's
that
gonna
guy.
go away, that's the,
Is that right?
old microphone.
Where was that?
Right by the, remember those
So,
horrific, walls they had put up?
yeah, no, we.
It's okay, you're not gonna, they were literally, I have a very, I have a feeling nothing.
That's what I was asking, 'cause I think they're gonna be standing in front of it regardless.
Hold on,
They
please
told
don't.
everybody to get out, they lit on a fire.
When it finally settled down, I started to take stock of these kids with it's like, it doesn't look like a pentagram, it's a
What if they
red
were
A.
moving here?
Oh,
with a
yeah,
red
yeah,
circle.
yeah.
I'm like, wow, I remember these kids.
Happy to do whatever.
What do you think? Is that gay?
Moved to them in LA, and we're going back 20 years. And I remember seeing them in and
I think we should.
I'm thinking, actually, I don't know. The kids in Toronto 20 years later.
I know, but it's not going to be, because there's
So-
only 900 members.
How is this so?
So that way they can
Do
walk.
you know how many
When
years
when I
that's
done
sit there?
Exactly the same.
Yeah,
with
I
my
don't
kids.
think-
I guess it was in
Hunter really
Germany.
likes my word choices.
Remember they had another big blowout in Germany?
Yeah, but I mean,
And we can't really, that's why I was like, we want to hear. They ripped it off his shoulder.
I think I have really greasy hair.
Yeah, I think that's, yeah.
what happened?
He was in one of these melees and they went out, out of the perimeter, out of the barrier.
Yeah.
And he got, I believe, being run down the street.
I'm actually set up right outside there with the second camera on my phone.
Foxy to sing.
Where was this at?
Never know.
They tried to, this is in Germany? Is he in Germany?
How many members are coming this that way?
Well, they're,
Well, if you saw the stuff that they were throwing at us in Toronto.
Yes.
it's always been, and water bottles full of urine.
Yeah, it was.
They're nasty. And I'm thinking, what happened?
How is this cat?
They fly really fast, really hard.
Yeah.
You're messing your shit.
I didn't realize that that's what they were throwing.
Yeah, Hunter, when I screw
Until
it,
my
So.
head
don't
shattered on the
screw it
ground.
up.
Oh, it's
One step to your left. Please.
I was like, okay, 20 years ago, those people were reporting that. So what happened? What are they doing? And how does this thing cycle?
I didn't, okay, but.
What happens?
Sounds like a follow-up story, yeah. Fischer Dave?
Vice TV.
Vice TV, I don't know that.
Got lots of people.
Never heard of Vice?
No, I'm really out of touch. Well, I'll have to look it up now.
Vice TV is part of this whole. They send these college grads out, pay them pennies for adventure, stick their heads in the lion's jaw.
Sounds like fun.
Do you remember the Police Gazette when you were growing up?
I didn't grow up around here.
Do you remember reading the Police Gazette? It was like a pink paper. The Police Gazette? No.
Where was it at? Here?
It was like, one of the earliest.
What's the start?
I like to say that was one of like.
50s, 60s. And it was like, murder, mayhem, sex, scandal. Anyway, that's when
I was away, I was over there. Just going bad. That was like 5 minutes ago.
It's,
Where are they located?
I don't know where their main offices are, but they're
Why would you mess with that?
They're almost as controversial as.
That number's still good.
I'm not quite there. But,
I just double checked it, I left my cell phone charged in the car tonight, right? Well, like I said, they pay these kids to meet this. Just double check, thanks a lot. And they ride, if it works.
Yeah, we've got it.
It's like success has 1,000 fathers, but you can find failure at the orphanage. If it works, they trumpet the story, and they get a lot of media play. If it's an abject failure, and the kid gets injured, or
Yeah, you just don't hear about it.
yeah, like I said, once this starts, I'll just come over there and come back. After it's over,
Well, they have an app. So,
there must be a Jimmy Long for that.
Yep. He's the one pushing this down the garbage.
And then prepare for magazines essentially Russell Rotunda. Third floor in which we shall the world.
Is there Wi-Fi in here?
I would imagine the Senate's
County on their
Senate TV.
So if you don't mind. You guys seen the headline that Newton Omar has been dead for 3 years?
Yes, I think you're getting closer to that.
it's interesting how
Our good friend at the assignment that
They
seems that's starting to gel.
weekend at Bernie's.
You ready?
I don't know what.
Hey, Jameson here. Oh, hey, Bill, how you doing? Sorry, didn't recognize you. Is Kevin about, or is he up to his eyeballs in aluminum gear?
Second from the left.
Okay.
If you see there,
Aluminum gear.
so I'm not good with back.
Hey, just wanted to let you know, we set up over here, ready to go for, I assume Nancy's still a player?
Good luck now.
Okay.
And
And
what's the password for
and
this
is
one
any
now?
of
Well, you're a funny
the
guy.
stuff for Dexter, the career from Joe
Well,
yet, or is that still up in the air?
Senate.gov.
Ally, I might move that other leg down just a little.
Which one, this
No,
one?
I'm kidding.
Okay.
I know, here's the thing,
Don't trust Jimmy Long.
I never did, I never
Right.
actually moved. I've learned that
On
lesson.
it.
On it. But this, unless there's a way, oh, wait.
Okay, great.
No, there's no
No.
bubble.
Yeah, there is a
Alright,
bubble,
and,
however,
I mean, there's no bubble.
Okay,
There's
yeah.
no bubble.
Thank you very much.
yeah, so you gotta
You
like,
bet, bye. You should've told me he spent the extra $12 to get you the one with.
Yeah, you gotta join Nabit to get the whole.
that's a Navy thing, okay.
That's a
okay.
non-union tripod, if I ever
Yeah,
saw
that
one.
was- Absolutely.
So he's gonna have, Dr. Reggie here.
Yeah.
You won't be standing the full time, will you?
No.
And so
Hello, everybody.
With the AH. I desperately hope.
Yeah, well,
This is my last time.
Hey, Ski, when did you come on? Doubtful.
Oh, yeah.
New toys for you guys. Aladdin Dailies. It looks so
Yeah, this is that.
Oh, that's fine, no, you can put that wherever, no,
light
don't
is
worry about
this
it,
big.
I can leave it way up there.
Aladdin
It's not, it's not gonna be big.
Well, we're just a call.
He's always
They're not very robust. This is the bag.
Hey, David, it's Mark over at Sun Gallery. How you doing? On CCAM 82,
That's the
bars and
bag.
tone.
It is literally the size of an iPhone. You can charge it with a USB cable.
Yes.
It switches. You can dim it with 100% to 0 dimmer. The other one is between tungsten and daylight.
I think I saw what it was. It said gallery is
Not very
really
robust.
interesting.
82.
Quick react and
I do care.
you know what? You're not interested in
No, I
this.
just gotta check my kids.
Your second job.
Huh? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's You know, I'll give you a trick. The other way to do it is before you mount your camera, flip it the other way around and just pull them all up evenly. Because you're pretty much sure the floor is even, you know what I mean?
Like Mason.
So you see the bars and tone? Good? Okay.
Photographers.
Well, not that one, but this one. I need to move some data to the outside.
Oh,
I'll do it. You want us to do it? No, I know it's a favor, if you're okay with it. Yeah. I'm gonna break it. Jimmy Long comes in.
I got the, take it, oh. Are we going out that after?
I'll do that. No, you don't. Okay. All right. Bye.
set up? Who'd you ask? But it's unattended. Okay, okay. Gotcha. No, 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 we're good. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes. You did. No, you didn't. You corrected me.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. By now, we've all seen those Planned Parenthood videos that absolutely shock the conscience. I want to thank Senator Joni Ernst, Senator Rand Paul, Senator James Lankford, and others you see behind me for leading an effort to put together legislation we'll vote on next week to address the issue. But before I turn it over to Senator Ernst, I want to make the point that I'm sure others will make repeatedly. This bill would ensure taxpayer dollars for women's health are spent on women's health. This will ensure that taxpayer dollars that are supposed to be spent on women's health are in fact spent on women's health. It would ensure we're funding that and not subsidizing some scandal-plagued organization. With that, let me turn over to Senator Ernst.
Thank you, Leader. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today as we discuss an incredibly important topic. The recent footage depicting Planned Parenthood's role in the harvesting of organs, heart, liver, kidneys, of unborn babies is morally reprehensible and vile. The American people, Republicans and Democrats alike, are horrified by the utter lack of compassion shown by Planned Parenthood for these women and their babies. In fact, now Hillary Clinton is calling these Planned Parenthood images disturbing, and I agree. These videos are hard for anyone to defend and hit at the moral fabric of our society. What we are talking about is human life. Planned Parenthood is harvesting the body parts of unborn babies. I am so grateful for the hard and collaborative work of my colleagues to put forward this legislation. Importantly, in addition to defunding Planned Parenthood, our legislation ensures that federal funding taken from Planned Parenthood will be made available to other entities that provide health services for women, like community health centers and hospitals. I want to make clear that there will be no reduction in overall federal funding available to support women's health. I look forward to voting on this vital legislation. Next, I would like to introduce Senator Deb Fischer of Nebraska.
Thank you, Senator Ernst. I'd like to thank you for your leadership on this very important issue. Thank you for stepping forward. People all across this country are horrified and appalled by the images that we have seen on the videos and the conversations that we have heard on those videos. What is especially shocking is the lack of compassion towards women and unborn children. I want to make it clear, as Senator Ernst has already, but I want to reaffirm that our bill targets funding for centers that truly prioritize and place that priority on women's health. So I look forward to seeing bipartisan support on this issue, just as we have seen bipartisan concern across this country for what we have witnessed. I'd like to introduce Senator Tim Scott.
Thank you to my Senator Ernst, Fischer, Paul, Lankford. To me, this is not a political issue. It's not a partisan issue. It's not even whether you're pro-life or pro-choice. This is an issue about our humanity. I was saddened, brought to tears by the videos. Without any question, I think the right thing for us to do is to defund Planned Parenthood and to make sure that we see every single dollar go to provide women's health services, and to do so 100% with 100% of the dollars. It is hard to put into words how challenging watching one video and then there were 2, now 3. I think our country finds itself shaken to our core as we view those videos. But the most appropriate thing to do is not use taxpayer dollars to fund Planned Parenthood. Thank you for your leadership. And next we'll have Senator James Lankford.
Thank you, Tim.
The difficult thing about this issue is it's incredibly difficult to talk about. It's incredibly difficult to process. Anyone who's seen the images, your first response is incredible compassion for the people that are in this journey. There are moms that came to a Planned Parenthood and were told that they were just having a medical operation in tissue and were asked to give consent, and now they're seeing the other side of that consent. They're seeing what happened behind the curtain, basically, when the child that was taken out of them was dismembered and sold for parts. And it's incredibly difficult, I'm sure, for them as it is for the entire nation. So we have incredible compassion for them, for what's going on. We feel it's incredibly important that we raise the issue and that we address this immediately, and that we continue to provide funding for women's health, but we don't continue to provide funding for an organization that makes part of their money off the death of that child and then part of the money off the sale of the parts of that child to different research facilities. And to watch the video and to see literally the haggling over the price of body parts as if it was a t-shirt at a garage sale haggling is really difficult for any of us to understand just the basic humanity of that. So this is an appropriate step to continue to protect women's health, and we're looking forward to getting a chance to take this on and continue to deal with this issue in the days ahead. We introduce Senator Rand Paul.
Thanks, James.
For many of us, one of our first images we see of our children is an image on an ultrasound. Many people have a framed picture of their children before they were born on ultrasound. I think what was particularly appalling here is what we see ultrasound being used to manipulate the baby into a position so they can remove the body parts and preserve liver, lung, heart for harvesting and sale. I think that's particularly appalling and in contrast to what most Americans would think is moral and responsible. I think it's important to know that there are 9,000 community health centers across the country which do everything that Planned Parenthood does except for abortion. There's absolutely no need for any public funding of Planned Parenthood. There's no excuse for it, and we should end all funding for Planned Parenthood. I'd like to introduce Senator John Cornyn from Texas.
Well, this is about who we are as human beings, and this is a reflection of who we hope to be and who we don't want to be. So this actually legislation will bring in line Planned Parenthood in line with something that's been the law since 1976. The Hyde Amendment, as many of us discussed during the course of our anti-trafficking legislation recently, prohibits the use of tax dollars to fund abortions, except in some very limited circumstances. But through a convenient fiction, Planned Parenthood has systematically circumvented that restriction on the use of taxpayer dollars. And as you know, the federal government has funded Planned Parenthood under the guise of providing health services to women. I want to just commend Senator Ernst and all of the people taking the lead on this issue. I'm proud to join them in this effort. And particularly, I'm proud of the fact that they have made sure that women who actually do have legitimate health care needs, other than abortion, are taken care of in this legislation. For example, in Texas alone, there are roughly 8 times as many community health centers where you can get health care as there are Planned Parenthood facilities. So this actually will increase access, women's access to primary care. And so I look forward to supporting this effort and again appreciate Senator Ernst's leadership. Senator Thune.
Well, I too want to thank Joni and Deb and James and Rand and Tim, all the folks who have been involved in crafting this legislation. I think to the American people's credit, the distaste that they had at seeing these videos, I think reminds people that Americans are at heart a compassionate people. And the images were disturbing, they were chilling, they were gruesome. And I think the idea that Planned Parenthood would be harvesting organs for sale is something that, again, irrespective of where people fall on the spectrum on these issues, is something that they just don't think that the taxpayers ought to countenance. It's not something that ought to be supported. And what this legislation does, and I'm really pleased with the way it was drafted as well, is it will continue to allow women's health services to be provided, cancer screenings, HIV testing, pre- and postnatal care, all those sorts of things can be done at community health centers. It simply says that this organization, which obviously is depicted in these videos, will no longer be able to receive taxpayer funding. Federal dollars shouldn't contribute to this, and so I appreciate the efforts that have been made. I suspect, again, across the country, there will be broad and widespread support for moving forward with it.
Thank you, John. Senator Isakson.
Oh, I'm sorry, Johnny Isakson.
I'm the short guy. They missed me back there.
Best.
I want to join with my other colleagues in being what is our responsibility, and that is to be a good steward of the taxpayers' money. No taxpayer in my state that I have heard from wants to have anything to do with the practices that have been shown by the videos that have been on television. This bill ensures that women's health is a priority through the community-based centers in our state, but that we're not going to use taxpayer money to fund the distasteful practices that have been depicted in that of Planned Parenthood. I'm proud to be a part of it, and I commend Joni Ernst, Deb Fischer, and our leader, Mitch McConnell, for bringing this issue forward, and I look forward to voting for it on Monday night.
Thank you, Joni. Appreciate it.
Question?
Okay. Yes, I believe at this time we'll go ahead and open up for some questions.
When the legislation says federal funding, programs like Medicaid that are joint federal and state will have the effect of also tying up state dollars to Planned Parenthood?
What we are discussing right now is just that federal legislation, and then how those state dollars, local dollars are handled will be another issue that will have to be addressed later on. Sir.
Would the legislation stop entitlement money, which is Medicaid money, or is it just the discretionary money that flows to?
That is a good question. This is basically stated federal funding. So any federal funding going to Planned Parenthood or any of those subsidiaries. What we'd like to see are those dollars being directed to hospitals, community health centers that offer women's health care alternatives.
Do you oppose all all research using fetal tissue, and if so, why doesn't you repeal?
It's baby tissue. It is a baby, and that is a separate issue. What we're seeing right now is absolutely reprehensible. There are a number of questions that have been raised by these videos. I have joined and led 49 other senators in a letter to Health and Human Services Secretary Sylvia Burwell, asking that she take a look at this. We want to make sure that any documents regarding this issue are preserved and that she is doing a thorough investigation. And we will see what the results show us after she does that.
That's not clear. So you in favor
Yes,
or
go ahead.
oppose research on fetal tissue?
I think one of the big concerns I have is the issue of consent and the issue of profiteering. Both of those are consent is required for any sort of research, and also there is no profit which is allowed, just basically reimbursement of costs. I wouldn't be surprised as this investigation continues, and I hope many of you will ask these questions, is whether the mothers who go into Planned Parenthood and undergo this procedure knows exactly what is going to happen with their baby. And secondly, is whether or not they know that they are actually selling these body parts for a profit, both of which are against current law, but we don't know the answer to all that yet. This is just has to do with the funding part. And so consent and profiteering are going to be important as we go forward to figure out the answer to that question.
Texas kind of tried to do this. They tried to redirect money that was going to go to Planned Parenthood and send it to like community health centers and other things, and it sort of backfired, and they ended up having to retract and go back and fund Planned Parenthood again because women lost health care and they predicted a huge spike in unintended pregnancies. Have you guys actually looked into whether community health centers can absorb all the millions of patients that Planned Parenthood currently sees?
Well, I think in my state, there are 8 times as many community health centers as there are Planned Parenthood facilities. I have every confidence they can absorb the legitimate health care needs of women for purposes that we all agree on, that primary health care. But again, going back to 1976, it's been the law for a long time that you cannot use tax dollars to fund abortions except under certain circumstances, and that's the Henry Hyde Amendment in 1976. This would just restore Planned Parenthood to the same status as any other recipient or requested recipient of federal tax dollars.
If I can make just one quick comment on that as well. Give you just a picture of the scale in my state in Oklahoma. There are 4 Planned Parenthood clinics. There are 60 community health centers. So to say, can they absorb this? Yes, they can. They serve about 23 million people every single year. So they're scattered across the nation. They're in many rural areas, and they target areas of greatest need.
I would say also you need to remember that the funding is going to be directed to these community healthcare centers. And so they would have additional funding which would help them to take in more patients then.
Sound the 2 of us?
Just 2 of us. I guess we're done. Good. Thank you all.
Isn't Congress
Yeah, let
prejudging?
me call it off, and then I'll just visit with your one question there too. So yeah.
Isn't Congress, microphones, please?
Yeah, we do it. Sure. I'll just last one question to the mic.
If the question is whether the patients are giving consent and whether in fact these tissue parts are being sold for a profit or a cost, as Planned Parenthood contends, by passing this legislation, wouldn't Congress be prejudging the results of the investigation?
No, this is not a prejudgment. This is a statement by Congress of this is what we choose to do. Same statement is made when we choose to fund organizations or take funding away from organizations. It's a statement of finding of this is what we choose to do on it, and so we're making that statement and stepping out to do it. And we're also saying we feel like if we're going to get to women's health, it is better served in community health centers. Many of the Planned Parenthood facilities provide screenings, while the community health center both does the screening and the health care as well. So this provides that health care money getting to the actual place where the health care is often taken care of, rather than a place that's typically that does the screenings. So this is just a choice that Congress would choose to make on how we handle the funding. So thanks, y'all.